Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will explore one of the special purpose domain in SDTM, that is the CO domain, which stands for comments. We will understand its purpose, structure, when to use it, and walk through a simple sample dataset. So let's get started. The CO domain is a special purpose domain in SDTM that captures the free text comments about the study data. These comments can provide clarifying information or context that can't be stored in standard variables of other domains. The use of CO domain when there is an additional clarifying text provided on the CRF but doesn't fit in the main domain should be used. For instance, a note like patient refused to lab test due to religious reasons would be stored in CO and related to the LB domain through the RelRec dataset. The structure of CO domain is one record per comment per subject. The topic variable will be the CO val. The required variables for this domain are the study ID, domain, uSubject ID, CO sequence, and the coval. There are no expected variables in this domain. The permissible variables for CO domain will be the R domain, ID var val, coref, coeval, coeval ID, CODTC, and CODY. Now let's talk about the CO assumptions. When the comment text is longer than 200 characters, the first 200 characters of the comment will be in CO val, the next 200 in CO val 1, and the additional text stored will be stored in the CO val n, which is also can be deciphered as the next in sequence after the CO val 1, which is CO val 2, CO val 3, and so on. Next important assumptions here is because based on this assumptions, that way of storing the data or capturing the data in CO domain is very affected, is the one that the CO domain for unrelated comments, or if we say that the comments unrelated to a specific domain or parent record, then the variables R domain, ID var val are null. Why we say so? What we understand by this assumption? If we try to understand here, we are saying that the comment is unrelated to a specific domain or a parent record. Means that if it is unrelated, then we will not have the information of for the domain or the record which is it should be related to. That means when we say domain, domain information will go in the R domain of the CO dataset. So we do not have the information of R domain. And when we say where we do not have uh, any information about the comment being related to any record of the any specific domain, then that means we do not have the ID var and ID var val information as well. So for the comments which are unrelated to any domain or parent record, we cannot populate the R domain, ID var, and ID var val in CO domain in this case, and these three variables will be kept as null. However, the CO dataset should be populated if captured. The next is the comments which are related to a domain but not to a specific parent record. In this case, the R domain is set to the domain code of the parent record and the variables ID var and ID var are null. Again, here what the comment says is that if the comment is related to a domain, that means that we do know that this comment is related to which domain. Is it related to LB, it is related to AE, or which domain it is related to. So that means that we do have the information of our domain. So in this scenario, we can populate the R domain. However, but since we are also mentioning that we do not know that to which specific record it is related, we cannot have the information of ID var or ID var. For example, like if a comment is related to a domain, but we do not know that this comment is related to which record, like which A term of the subject or the which sequence record of the A it is related to for that subject, we will we will not have the information of IDVAR or IDVAR in this case. So that's the reason that when a comment is related to a domain but not to a specific parent record, then only our domain can be populated, whereas these IDVAR and IDVAR are supposed to be kept as null. The CODTC should be populated if captured in this case as well. The next assumption about the comments is that the comment related to a specific record or parent record or a group of records where our domain is known. We can populate the R domain to the domain code of the parent record and the variables IDVAR and IDVAR with the key variable name and the value of the parent record. That means that when we have the complete information that this comment is related to, say, the AE domain, and in AE domain we know that this comment is related to, say, for example, the record with AE sequence value equals to 5. In that scenario, the R domain for that comment will become as AE domain A, and the IDVAR will be AE sequence and IDVAR value will be 5. So in this way, since in this scenario we have the complete information of the parent record and parent domain and the parent record to which this comment is related, we will have to populate the R domain, the IDVAR and IDVAR val in this scenario. However, because we have the complete information and using these three variables, we can easily identify the parent domain and parent record. We do not need the information of CODTC, and CODTC should be null because we know that which this comment is relating to which parent record and parent domain. So in this scenario, the CODTC should be null. The next assumption is that the variable COREF may be null unless it is used to identify the source of the comment. We will explore this assumption more with an example in few minutes. Now let's see about the example which we have just talked, and I'm showing you right now a dummy CO dataset with 8 records. So now let's understand what these 8 records are having in this example. The row 1 shows a comment collected on a separate comments page. Since it is unrelated to any specific domain or record, the R domain, IDVAR val are null. So this is the first assumption we have talked about, that if in case a comment is unrelated to any domain or any record, how we will populate. So you can see that the first row of this data set, you do not have the R domain, IDVAR or IDVAR val being populated. However, since we do have the information of the comment, we have populated the coval. Right now it's a dummy data set, so that's why we have just filled it as comment text, but the actual comment will go in coval, and since we know the information of who provided this comment, so that information is going in the co-eval. So here the co-eval is principal investigator, which means that this comment was provided by the principal investigator. We also have the CODTC information, so we are populating that as well. For row number 2, this comment record shows that this comment was collected on the bottom of the page for PE domain for visit 7. Without any indication of specific record it applies to. Again, this is the second assumption rule which we have discussed, that in this example, this comment, the second row comment, we know that it is related to PE domain, but we do not know that in PE domain to which record of this subject, that is subject is AB99, it is related. So that's why we are populating the R domain to PE, but we have kept the IDVAR and IDVAR val as null. However, since we have another information that this comment was collected on page PE page for visit 7, so that information is populated in COREF. So we know that, okay, this comment is captured, and we can reference if we want to go back and trace back that where it was captured. We can easily capture by seeing that the COREF is pointing to the visit 7 CRF page of PE. We can go to that CRF page of visit 7 and we can see that there this record will be populated. So the CORF is playing an role here to identify that this comment was populated or entered at which visit. The third row is the row which shows a comment for a single AE record having its AE sequence as 7. So in this record, you can see that we have all the information that the comment is related to AE, and this comment is related to the record with the AE sequence value as 7. So we are populating the R domain, ID var val, all these three variables. But another point to notice here is that the CODTC is kept as null, because we do not need any information from CODTC, and our domain ID var val is sufficient to point out to the domain domain and the record to which this comment is related. Record number 4 and 5 are also the examples, similar examples as AE. The only difference is that the ID var in the fourth row, the ID var is related to the EX group ID, and the fifth is for VS group ID. That means that the comment which is given is applicable to multiple records. Here, if you see for the fourth record, the X group ID is the combo 1, which means that the comment in row number 4 is related to the records where the group ID is equals to the value of combo 01. So that's why it is mentioned in the ID var and ID var val, and we have the domain that this is related to EX. Same is the case with the row number 5, which is applicable for visit vital signs domain here. The row 7 shows a second option for representing a comment associated only with a visit. In this case, the CORF is used to show that the comment is related to the visit 4 here. This is again a different version scenario similar to record number 2, but the difference here is that in record 2 we do have the information of the parent domain, but for record number 7 we do not have the information of parent domain, but only the information that the comment entered is related to a visit for this subject. Another way of representing this information is that we can populate the visit num variables instead of the CORF here. And if you see the record number 8, the visit num variable was populated to indicate that the comment was associated with a particular visit. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know in comments if you want me to cover any specific topic.